I know it's been a while since I did my last video, so I want to ease myself back into it by talking about a topic that I know quite a bit about, which is video games, since I've been playing video games since the last 18 years. I wanted to focus on the newer generation of consoles opposed to the older generation, because I realized that we have come a long way since the days of when I started playing, which was Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64. Back in that time, it seemed like the graphics were amazing, and who knew that one day video games would become very realistic. I was playing Watch Dogs about a week ago, and the graphics on that game are just insane, spectacular. They're almost real world looking, if not like the real deal in a way. The whole concept of the game isn't realistic. It's about hacking into various things, objects in the world, but I mean, that is, in a sense, it is realistic, but, some of the stuff, it wouldn't be possible from your cell phone. Although, who knows, maybe this will give crazy motherfuckers an idea to make a program from their phone to hack into pipes and make them blow up. Hopefully not. Anyway, anyway, yeah, I mean, in this game you can drive around and really look into the world of Chicago, so I'm like, fuck these missions. I'm just gonna drive around to Public Enemy and look at all the scenery that this game has to offer, and the people's details in their faces and clothes, especially the main character, of course. The roads, the scenery in the background, the buildings, they all look very realistic. I don't know if that's how Chicago looks per se, because I've never been to Chicago, really looked into it, but just the detail in the game is amazing. This being a new IP, I'm not sure what company makes Watch Dogs. They're European, I believe, but I'm not sure if they ever made anything else. But if they haven't, then if they just came in here like guns blazing, creating this amazing looking game, then I give them total props. Because the only other game company that can really pull off real world realistic graphics and such is definitely Rockstar. They made Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, Max Payne. Their latest games like Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Max Payne 3, they are all very realistic. I've always played the games with my bro when I was down in North Carolina, and when we were playing Max Payne 3, he said, these graphics are amazing, how can they even make them look any more realistic? And the answer is, somehow the game developers keep adding all these little touches and details that make the game look very realistic. It can be more realistic. I think down the road we're going to have virtual reality headsets for our games, and I hope that somehow the game developers are able to take everything in the real world, like you see over here, like my sheets, like they have all those stripes and folds in them, like somehow they're able to implement that kind of look into the video games, or make it so that the video game is in our reality, and then it's impossible to really make the game more realistic. It is reality. But who knows what virtual reality has in store for us? I don't know. Hopefully it's cool. Um, anyway, the consoles themselves, not trying to be a fanboy here. Uh, I don't have a PS4. I do have an Xbox One. And I think that Microsoft has the right idea when they want to create a whole entertainment box rather than just a gaming box. Because these companies have grown so big that gaming shouldn't be their one priority, even though um, you know, I think when it comes to consoles, the games are the most important thing. And I'm just talking about PlayStation and Xbox. I know it's Sony and Microsoft, and they have all that other junk like TVs, and Microsoft has computer shit and tablets. But I always focus on gaming in general, and no one's gonna go out and buy an Xbox One just to watch TV from it and have these voice activated commands and stuff, or gestures. But I think that entertainment is still important, and for the PS4, you're kind of limited to just gaming. That's not necessarily true, because they have Netflix like apps and other things, but I think Microsoft can do entertainment better while doing games just as good as the PS4. So I would get a PS4 if they had some really decent, or if they had some really if their exclusives were like very alright, let me start this over. Let's talk about their indies first. Their indies can range from looking like absolute crap, probably playing like crap as well, to interesting. Some of the indies I've seen for that console, they look like they strictly belong on iOS and Android on your smartphone, rather than an actual console that has standards. Some of their indies are the same as the ones on Xbox One, and I do enjoy the indies that are on Xbox One. So if they're the same as the ones on PS4, then that's good for them. And they do have some exclusive indies that they look okay, but it's not. Indies aren't a game changer. Like, they're not gonna be a reason why someone buys a system. If someone wants to buy a system, it's either for the exclusives or there's just good games coming out. I had a PS2 back in the day. I never had a PS1, so I never played Crash Bandicoot or Spyro or really Final Fantasy. But PS2, I really enjoyed my PS2. I mean, you had Jack and Dexter. Like, the main guy's name was Jack, so of course it's gonna be good. Ratchet and Clank came out. That was not my most favorite game, but it was still a good game. Kingdom Hearts, the best game ever. That's a reason why I have a PS2. Some obscure titles like ICO and Shadow of the Colossus. I mean, those were really my favorite games on the console. And of course, you know, there was a bunch of others like Silent Hill, great games, Silent Hill 2 and 3 at least. Um, you know, there was a game for everyone on that console. There was hundreds of games. Everyone loved the PS2. When the PS3 came out, I started seeing this trend where they'd take 3 games from the PS2, like the Jack and Daxter Legacy, and put it in HD, and then release it for like $40 to $60 on a PS3. Just because you upgrade the graphics doesn't mean that, you know, it's worth buying again. You know, I already have it on PS2, why would I go and buy it on PS3? Same thing they did with Ratchet and Clank. God of War, which came out on PS2. I never played those before. But same thing, just put it in more HD and release it again. Which I don't think is a good business practice. Because if you're gonna buy, I mean, if you never played the games before, that's the whole thing. Like, I never played the games before. Now I have a PS3. I'm gonna buy these games, but the real factor is it's cheaper to get a PS2 and just buy these games and play it in, I guess, standard definition. Because I mean, the graphics at the time with the PS2, they were great. I mean, it was a step up from the Nintendo 64 and PS1 graphics. So, you know, at that time, you're thinking, oh, these graphics are amazing. Every time a new generation comes out, you always think, wow, these graphics are getting better and better and better. Unless you're playing games that came from like very small development teams, or you know, the game just doesn't come out the way that they had hoped. Or graphics doesn't make everything, but you know, it's a visual experience. So like, that's just part of it. The gameplay is what always matters, but you know, you always look at the graphics anyway. What was I talking about? So anyway, the PS3. Just checking how much time I spent. Okay, the PS3. It had its own exclusives, like Little Big Planet, Resistance, and Famous, just to name a few off the top of my head. Killzone. I don't know. I think during the later years of the PS3, that's when it would probably be the best idea to get a PS3. In the start, it wasn't looking too good in my opinion, and that's why I just never got around to getting a PS3. You know, right off the bat, Xbox 360 came out with, I believe Halo 3 was it was released early on in the system's life. We had Gears of War coming out. I love Gears of War. That's kind of the reason I stick with Xbox, because if they ever made another Gears of War and I didn't have an Xbox One to play it on, I'd just be devastated in a way. Fable's not the best game, but it's still something. You know, and all the games that come to both consoles, they're always usually great. So you can't really complain which system you get. It's all about like what exclusives you want to play. And I'd rather have Halo, Fable, Gears of War, whatever other new IP they come out with, rather than PS4 was at the conference. They're getting another Uncharted, another Little Big Planet. They're remastering The Last of Us. Don't even get me started on that. That was a game that came out about a year ago for the PS3. One of the games which I think is a system seller. just a little too late in the life cycle of the PS3, and also Beyond Two Souls. Those games look very good, and since The Last of Us was Game of the Year, you know that almost every PS3 owner picked it up because everyone was very hyped over it. It didn't disappoint. I think it got 10 out of 10. So apparently it's a great game, yet Sony thinks that PS4 players have never, or PS4 owners have never played the game before, so let me remaster it in 1080p 60 frames per second and sell to the public. It was originally $60, but they cut the price to $50. So, yep, you're totally getting a deal there. I'm also a little pissed off at Grand Theft Auto 5 for basically doing the same thing I just mentioned. They're releasing the game again that was originally for 360, PS3, and at $60. Then I actually spent $150 because I got the collector's edition. That was like last October, I think it came out, and was like this fall they're releasing it for the Xbox One, PS4, PC for $60. I'm not buying that game again. Even though it was a great game, the story part of it, the campaign, excellent. The online portion was disappointing in my opinion because I was definitely expecting more, seeing that Grand Theft Auto 4 had really great multiplayer for the time, and it was a lot more simple too. But this whole GTA online RPG kind of thing, it didn't come out the way it was supposed to, in my opinion, or I think anyone's opinion, because all the updates should have just been there from the start before they decided to release it. But anyways, I do like the Xbox One in regards to the variety of gaming and entertainment and just the all in general package that it offers to the consumer. I can go from playing a mature game like Watch Dogs, just like a shooter, action-y crime kind of game, to a zombie killing game like Dead Rising 3. I can go and play an RPG kind of game like Child of Light. I can go play Peggle 2 with my mom, which is just a kind of puzzle game. And, there's just a lot of variety. Of course, the PS4 has variety too. But I think in the end, with the way Sony's going, you just can't keep releasing the same games over and over again. No one wants to keep paying for games they played in the past. Okay, the graphics are better. The only exception I would make is the Kingdom Hearts remakes, because I love Kingdom Hearts. If I had a PS3, I would definitely buy the 2 remakes for the system, but I would not buy a PS3 just for those alone. I am interested in some other games like The Last of Us, Beyond Two Souls, but until the console gets as cheap as like PS2 is, and the games, which are kind of cheap too because they were made in like mass amounts, I just wouldn't put my money towards Sony. I will say this, Xbox One is releasing a Halo game called the Master Chief Collection, and the only reason why I'm excited for it is because I never played Halo 1. I played Halo 2 on the original Xbox, and I thought that the game wasn't for me. I played maybe a mission or two. Um, the reason why I say that is because I didn't have internet connection hooked up to the system, because um, back in the day we didn't have wireless adapters. We had to actually put the Ethernet cable into the console and all that jazz, and it's not as easy as it seems depending on what your setup is. My setup wasn't very good, and I couldn't I couldn't experience the multiplayer of the game, which is probably the best Halo experience ever, if you ever talk to a Halo fan. Um, I could have played the single campaign. I'm not sure if I had co-op back then, but just playing the single player alone, I felt like it was just, I don't know, too much for me. Like, there's too many enemies on the screen. It's just me, Master Chief, against a bunch of fucking aliens. I just wasn't too good at it, and I couldn't experience the full game, so I kind of let it slide. I decided to get Halo 3 one day for pretty cheap, and I played co-op once or twice with a few buddies from high school. That was a step in the right direction, because I could finally play multiplayer, and I could finally play co-op, which was fun at the time. I'm just not sure if I'm fully into the whole thing, because now I haven't really experienced two of the games, and it's just I have all these other games to play. It's just Halo wasn't my priority, I guess. I never got around to playing Halo 4, but now they're making a Halo Master Chief Collection, which definitely, in my opinion, justifies a $60 price tag, especially if you never played the games fully like myself. If you played 1 through 4, got the Combat Anniversary or Collector's Edition Anniversary of Halo 1, I think Halo whatever. It's called Halo CE, which I think stands for Combat Evolved, but I don't know. There's also spin-offs like Halo Reach and Halo ODST, Halo Wars. So there's a bunch of Halo games out there. But this game is going to focus on Halo 1 through 4, and also give you added content per se. There's going to be this sequence where you can play epic moments from the game, and I guess playlists per se of various chapters in the game. That's cool. That's an added feature right there. Of course, the games are going to look amazing. They're on newest generation of consoles, and 1080p, 60 frames per second. PS3, when they remastered games in HD, those graphics don't even compare to this shit. You're also going to get all the maps for every game, and there's also more content to be had in this whole collection. So I think, to me, that's a very good deal, since I never played these games before. If I went and bought all the games together, I'm sure that would add up to around $60 plus. I wouldn't be able to play Halo 2 or in co-op. I think Halo 1 may be in co-op, I'm not sure. Of course, Halo 3 and Halo 4 will be in co-op. So I think that's a very good value there. If Sony is just going to take a game that was Game of the Year last year and put it in 1080p, 60 frames per second, that's all they do. Maybe I heard about them adding some video game commentary from the developers. into the game, which would be a little added content to it, that's not worth $50 in my opinion. When I can just, if I had a PS3, I can just go buy the game for maybe like $30 now, and it'll still be amazing graphics, gameplay the same, multiplayer the same, you know. So at least Microsoft takes into consideration how to remaster a game, repackage a game, opposed to taking the lazy way out, I guess. I'm going to end this video here, because I could just ramble on about video games for hours, and I don't want to do that. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you later.